everyone to Stamp and Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it is great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. So today we are going to have a lot of fun because we've got my bestie Jennifer waiting in the wings. And Jennifer and I started doing a series here on YouTube called Tag Team Techniques. And the way it works is we pick a technique that we want to work with, and we go back and forth between our channels, showing you lots of different ways to use that particular technique on that week. So this week, we are working with background stamps. Now, we've done stencils, we've done foiling, we've done a couple of other things that have been super fun. So you can also check out Jennifer McGuire's channel, and you can search Tag Team Techniques on her channel, and you'll be able to find some of them over there as well. We are really excited about background stamp techniques. We've been waiting a long time to do this one. We actually had it planned a couple of times, and for whatever reason, she had something to do, I had something to do, and finally we are able to get back together again. And these are some of my favorite videos to make because Jennifer and I have a very similar style in the way we teach and the way we present, and so it just feels like, you know, we're just an extension of each other in these videos. I just love it. I hope you do too. And let's bring her in. Welcome, Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
It is so great to see you. You look beautiful. Oh, look, it's like we almost coordinated.
Our colors.
Different shades of pool.
Yes, yes. I will say, I don't think I have the charisma and beauty that Rena does. She was with you yesterday. That was so much fun to see.
Well, it was really fun, and it's always fun to have her on the show because you never know what's going to happen. Right? Anything can happen. But it is always great to have you on the show. You are amazing, and I love the way we work together and how we brainstorm these techniques for everybody. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do this, because we wanted to make a series of videos where you could find a whole bunch of techniques in one video. Yep. A lot of times I focus on one card. I know Jennifer's a technique freak. You know, she'll do a technique and she'll do a million cards, but we thought this is kind of the best of both worlds. It's a lot of techniques all in one video instead of one technique with a lot of cards or just one card like me.
Yeah.
So.
And it's fun because beforehand we kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and sometimes we come up with new things we've never done. So it's fun to include those too. So
it really
I love
is.
it.
I love it too. So today we're doing background stamps, and I think you and I, for the most part, picked different background stamps so we can show a whole variety of things. Yeah. And Jennifer told me what she was going to do, and I'm really excited about what she's going to do because, you know, I think we get kind of hooked on our own techniques, and it always lights me up to see what you do in these videos. And then it reminds me, I got to try that. I got to try that again, or, you know, it's so fun.
Yes, I agree. But I think since it's your channel, you should probably go first.
Well, I'll be happy to go first. And I do want to mention that a lot of the techniques that you're going to see today, if you've been stamping for a long time, you may have seen these before. Maybe you saw them done in a different way, so you'll pick up a tip or two. If you're a new stamper, this whole video might be like, wow, there's so many things I can do with a background stamp. But it's just nice to have that reference, so you can save this video and you can go back to it and refer to it over and over again. All right. Yep. So the first technique that I thought I would show is a background technique using masking magic. So I did a video with masking magic and some background stamps a few weeks ago, and I thought I would just show those cards that I made, and then I would do it in a different way today to show that you can do other things too. Now, we don't have many cards. We don't have any cards, really, that we're going to make today, right?
No.
This is all about
backgrounds.
Right, yeah. And all about the techniques. Otherwise, we'd be here for 4.5 hours, right?
Which I've been known to do.
I know. But we've got things to do. We've got kids playing baseball, and right?
We have another game today, so there you go.
All right. Well, let me just show you these cards that I made with this technique. So this I made using Masking Magic sheets. And that is this right here, the Masking Magic sheets. What I did here was I cut out a sheet of Masking Magic just using all different size circles, And then I laid that over my cardstock, stamped my background stamp on top, and did some ink blending. With this one, I cut a cross die out of the Masking Magic, and I did the same thing. I laid the sheet of Masking Magic on there, stamped the background stamp, and inked it up. But today I thought I would use some Masking Magic strips because they're always fun to do. Now this one takes a little bit longer. I was talking to Jennifer earlier and she was like, it's okay, some of mine are short. And I'm like, thank God, because this first one is probably going to be a long one. But these are the Masking Magic sheets, and I've just got to find a 1/4 inch pack here.
So these are the strips?
These are the Masking Magic strips, yes, thank you.
Okay.
And they come in 3 different sizes. They come in 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to use 2 different sizes for this. I'm going to start with the 1/4 inch ones because I want to block off the edge. This is going to create a really pretty edge using a background stamp, because the background is just going to be stamped on the inside of this, and then when we peel the Masking Magic off, we're going to reveal a white border. So it's kind of a way to stamp the block of the design, but still be able to maintain a white border. So let me get these on here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some Masking Magic strips that are 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to create a diamond pattern. So I'm going to go from corner to corner with these 1/8 inch strips, and I'm going to just do that going down the paper like this. And I think I'm going to use a real fun, bright stamp set for this, because I normally, when I do this technique, I use something very soft and frilly, but I thought I would use that same doodle floral one because I just think it's going to be fun with this diamond design. Now you can see I'm not real worried about getting them perfectly straight. They're straight enough. You know, my motto is it's better than horrible. So this is straighter than horrible. How's that?
That's how I feel about when I cook.
Better than horrible. What's your favorite thing to cook, Jennifer?
Nothing. My brother's laughing at me.
Okay, so nothing is your favorite thing, but if you're called to duty, what do you like to make? Nothing?
I don't.
Pizza? Frozen pizza?
Salmon.
Oh, salmon. Okay. Well,
Yes.
so she says she can't cook, and then she whips out salmon.
Well, you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong with good salmon. Good salmon. But I've had your meal, your food, and you, my friend, can cook.
Well, thank you. It's I don't have a lot of recipes, but the ones that I do, I've made them so often that I've gotten them to a pretty good place. My mom's Italian recipes.
Your vegetable soup is divine.
Oh yeah, but you guys make that now.
Mm-hmm.
And every time Ken makes it, Jennifer sends me a picture. Look what we're having tonight. I'm like, oh, that's the soup. All right,
one of my favorites.
So you can see I'm creating this lattice pattern, diamond pattern, and you know, it's pretty easy to line up. I can see here these are a little bit skinny, but I'm not going to worry about it because, again, today this is all about the technique. And when you try these for the first time, don't get frustrated. Remember, these are your practice cards, so just give them a whirl.
Yep.
You also can reuse these Masking Magic strips, but I don't know if you want to reuse them if you're going to do the heat embossing. So if you were just going to ink blend this, you could reuse these strips. But we're going to do some heat embossing on here. So I'm going to take an embossing magic pad and I'm going to rub that over the surface. And then I'm going to get that doodle flower, this one right here, this doodle flower stamp. It's so fun, isn't it? And I see people a lot of times struggling. I'm actually going to trim this down because I'm going to leave everything taped to here. I think it's just going to work better. So I'm just going to trim this down so I can see it a little bit better or figure out where I'm supposed to be stamping. So there we go. Even take it down more.
So you could just do stripes. You could do anything for this, right?
You could do stripes. You could do more of a retiform kind of thing where it's just different sizes of boxes.
Oh.
You can make almost your own little postage grid if you wanted to. Lots of things that you can do here. All right, now I'm going to ink this up with, let me find it. Here it is, some embossing. Oh, no, that's not it. You know I'm never prepared. And now I don't even know where it is. My embossing and watermark ink. Give me a minute to find it. I seriously don't know where it went. All right, I found some Versamark, so I can use that. I can use Versamark. I actually do prefer my embossing and watermark ink, but we will use what we have. So I'm going to ink this stamp up really well with Versamark ink. And you can use Versamark or you can use your Gina K embossing and watermark ink. It's
and
probably sitting here.
Your stamps, right? Your background stamps that you've come out with recently are clear.
Yes, they are clear. And, you know, I think in the old days, I'm not sure how inky that is, so I'm going to use this other one on top of it. In the old days, clear stamps just weren't as good as rubber stamps. So a lot of people would make their background stamps out of rubber. But today's photopolymer is so good that it works very, very similarly to rubber. Now, when I use a background stamp like this, I keep it laying on its back and I take the cardstock and I place the cardstock on top. Because
Nice.
I find that it's much easier to get a good impression this way. So you can see I'm taking my hands and I am rubbing all over, making sure that I make contact everywhere on this paper. Even putting your background stamp in something like the Misty can be challenging for some people who have weaker hands. You can also use a stamp press tool the same way you would on a stamping platform with this, just to make sure you get good pressure. But it really does help to have it on its back. That's what I find. Now we're going to peel this off, trying not to pull off the masking magic. Okay.
And I really appreciate that you have clear background stamps because that way you can make sure you land it straight on your paper. If you do use like a stamping tool or something, I really like the clear.
Yeah,
clear
it is, especially, yeah, some of those designs are like up and down straight lines, and you do kind of want to make sure that you got it in the right place.
Yep.
Okay, so I am putting white embossing powder on here. You could certainly use clear for this too. And if you're doing this on colored cardstock and you want the color of the cardstock to show through instead of white, then by all means use clear. Okay, now I am going to take that design, I know it looks like a hot mess right now, and I am going to heat emboss this with my heat tool. Just making sure I don't have anywhere I don't want it. Do not take the masking magic strips off yet. And the other thing you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you emboss everything, even the stuff that's outside of this piece of cardstock, because we're going to ink blend over this, and we don't want to be dragging powdery embossing powder all over the surface of the cardstock. So make sure you heat emboss all of that, just so that we don't have to deal with it.
So you said we could also do clear embossing here, right?
You could
White
do
or
clear
clear?
embossing, white or clear, yep. I tend to use white embossing powder a lot, but clear embossing powder will work exactly the same way because the clear is going to encapsulate whatever color is underneath and keep it that color. So clear or white. I think that is all done. I'm just getting
Is
these.
this technique something you could do with like gold embossing powder?
Oh, you definitely could do it with gold embossing
Okay.
powder, silver, yeah. Colors, if you have colored embossing powder. All right, I'm just making sure it's all looking good. Okay, now I'm just going to give that 1 second to cool, and I'm going to get my ink stand, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a rainbow blend down the front of this. So,
Ooh, rainbow.
rainbow. I'm going to be, I'm going to be doing some rainbows today. I'm in the mood.
Which red is this?
This is Red Hot. So I'm going to be using some red hot ink. We could do this on an angle or we could do it down this way, this way. I'm going to just start right here at the top and I'm going to add this red onto there. Okay.
Look at that.
So you can start to see the design coming through. I'm going to switch to Tangerine Twist. Don't worry, the rest of my techniques don't take as long.
No, I gotta tell you, I'm just watching mesmerized. This is relaxing.
It is fun, isn't it? Just to watch too. I love watching you. Okay, so now we've got red, orange. We're going to go to Wild Dandelion. And you know, it looks a little ugly right now because...
No, it doesn't.
Well, no, it does because the Masking Magic has all white crinkly powder on it and it just doesn't look crisp. It looks like, I don't know if I'm going to like the way that embossing looks. But once we peel the Masking Magic off, all the embossing that's right on the paper looks great. So now I'm going to move to Lucky Clover.
Hey, Gina.
Yes.
There's a question. Will heat from the heat tool melt the adhesive on the Masking Magic?
You know, it doesn't. And the first time I did this live, I hadn't tried it. So I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was terrifying. But it worked. It did not, it didn't melt the...
Well, I think a lot of this stuff, if you're scared that, you know, like heat might affect that adhesive, if you just keep the heat moving, which you should do anyways when you're heat embossing, if you keep it moving, you shouldn't have much problem because you're not concentrating that heat in one spot too long.
Exactly. And so I just used some turquoise sea and I'm finishing up with a little bit of wild lilac.
Look at that.
Okay. So very little bit of blending. It's going to be soft. Now I'm taking a paper towel before I do anything with the Masking Magic and I'm just wiping over the surface to remove any of that ink that's just pooling on top of the embossing powder. You can see the ink will come off there. Now, let's peel and reveal.
Yay!
This is the fun part. So, I think I'll be able to do a big chunk all at once here. It's gonna, something's gonna let go and everything's gonna come at once at some point here.
Well, it's fun to just watch it one by one too. Look at that.
It is, and you could start to see how crisp it gets. Let's see, gentle. Oh, I might have to scrape that one off a little bit. We'll go back to that.
Look at that.
That might have been one of those spots that the adhesive melted a little. I might have leaned too long on that one, but it might come off when we pull it in the other direction. So we'll see. I'm not too worried.
You'll get it off. There we go. Look at that. That's so pretty.
Let's get this off here.
It'd be fun to mix, like to do a straight background with the, and mix the widths of the strips.
Of the lines?
You know,
yes,
yeah,
that would
so
be
like
great.
Some
Plus,
are wider than others.
That would really take the pressure off too. Because if they're all mixed, then you can't get it wrong. See, that one helped quite a bit there. There we go.
And you could do one strip that's really a little bit wider so you have a place to write your sentiment too, or stamp your sentiment.
Definitely.
Look at that.
And you can use the 1/2" Masking Magic for that sentiment strip one.
Yeah.
So this way, you know, you don't have to worry about piling a whole bunch of small ones on there. Let's just pull this up here now.
You know, the cool thing about this is on the camera, it looks like it's got dimension to it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So pretty. Sherry asked, would a stencil substitute for the Masking Magic?
So, the thing about the stencils is that I find is the stencils are higher up than the Masking Magic. The Masking Magic lays so flat that it's easy for the background stamp to actually touch all of the paper. When you try to stamp through a stencil, it's hard to get it right up to the very edge. So I kind of like the idea of cutting something out with a die first if you have a shape in mind, or using something like the strips to create a pattern. So here you could take a look at this again and see how crisp it is now.
That's
Isn't that
gorgeous.
pretty and fun? I also
Wow.
think a design like this, if you did like a circle and then you did rays that came down with the strips, it would kind of create a sunshine, and this background stamp would work really well with that sunshine. So,
And I agree that white frame is
does
amazing.
doesn't that just tie it all
So
in? It
pretty.
just makes everything crispy. All right, well, there is my first technique, and that's called masking magic with background stamps.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got me thinking here. What I want to do is take one of your, like, you have some larger kind of backdrop kind of background dies. They, that
Yes.
are nice for the center of a card. Die cut masking magic from that, and
Mm-hmm.
do this technique with that, and that would be
Oh
cool. So you
yeah,
can
yeah.
use a die.
Like the cover plates?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh, that would be a great idea. Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways that you can if you have masking magic sheets and strips, you're good to go with background stamps.
I know what I'm doing after this live, and it's not cooking. It's that I'm trying.
You're gonna
I'm
try
trying that.
it? All
I'm
right.
trying.
Well, I'm gonna pass
All
the
right.
torch to you.
All right, that sounds good. I am using the vintage filigree background stamp. This is another one of the clear stamps, background stamps that Gina has. Now, the technique that I'm sharing right now, you could do with whatever background stamp. Like, it doesn't have to be like solid or fine or whatever. I chose this one because I really like it, especially when you trim it down, you can get that nice focal point there at the center. So that's why I chose to use it today. Now, I did some of mine ahead of time just because every one of my techniques requires a heat gun, and I wanted to save the time. Let me tell you what I did. I don't know if you can see it there, but this is just watercolor paper. I find any watercolor paper will work. You definitely could use regular cardstock, but we're going to spray this with water. So whenever I use a lot of water, I like to use watercolor paper. So what I did is I stamped with clear embossing ink and then added Gina K clear embossing powder. So it's clear heat embossed on watercolor paper. That's all I've done ahead of time. Can you kind of see that? Gina, can you see that at all?
Definitely you can see it. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It looks
Now
beautiful.
you could do this with white embossing powder, but I don't recommend it because of the second step we're going to do to this that will give us a second background. So I recommend to stamp with clear embossing powder, or stamp with clear embossing ink, add clear embossing powder, and heat set it on watercolor paper. So that's what I've got here. And I've already done that because I wanted to make sure that I didn't spend half the time here heat embossing. Now, for this, I am going to add a bunch of color. And I am really loving this kind of combo lately. Like the pinks and purples and throw in a little bit of a peach color. So I'm going to mix some of these. I have Coral Reef, medium carnation. I don't know that I'll use them all, but these all work really well together. I don't think I'm going to use that one this time. I've got dark orchid and medium orchid. I have plum punch and passionate pink. But you really could use any colors that work well together. So kind of are somewhat close-ish to each other in the rainbow, even though you can see some of mine aren't. I'm going to start by going direct to paper here and putting down a bunch of the medium carnation. You could use a blending brush for this to do a nice blend, but here's the thing. I don't think it's really necessary with this technique. I'm going direct to paper, and if I find there's a spot where I want it to blend, like where these two are overlapping, I'll just come in with my brush to blend that there. And look at how it blends so well. Gina's inks are fantastic for this because they work well. They work well with water, and the colors play well with each other. So I have absolutely no plan here as to what I'm putting down. I'm just putting different color here. You could do, this would be fantastic with what you just did with the rainbow. This would be a great technique with the same rainbow colors that Gina just did. But I'm just going random, willy-nilly here.
These look amazing.
And you just want to put down,
look great.
I feel like this would be best if you did a heavy amount. This technique is best with a heavy amount of ink. That's why I'm doing like this direct to paper. I just feel like the more ink you put down, the better. But you can do blending. I just recommend you put down as much as you can via blending too.
And I just want to do a quick shout out to Monica. Monica, thank you for the super chat. Jennifer and I really appreciate that. And we will share a cup. We will go for a cup of coffee when we get to create in May on you, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we will enjoy some coffee together before we teach.
Yeah.
Okay, so
now,
I've
Jennifer,
covered this.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
That one color that's coral reef or peach Bellini?
No, this is medium carnation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think mine is showing a little orange. I don't know why.
It's beautiful.
But coral reef would be
gorgeous.
beautiful there.
Yeah.
Both would be good there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see the difference. My screen is really small.
It's okay. It's okay. Now, I'm not going to wipe the excess ink off of that white embossing powder or off the clear embossing powder. You can, and that will give you a beautiful resist. But I'm leaving that ink on top. And somebody asked, yes, definitely. You could do this with Gina's ink cubes, and then you could get even more color. Next, what I'm going to do is spray this pretty generously with water. So I'm just spraying it with water, and you can see the paper will start to curl. It'll start to absorb that water. But then I'm going to add some shimmer to it using Gina's Glimmer Mist. Really like this. This is such a fast way to add shimmer, and you don't need a whole lot of it. So I did like 4 spritzes there, 4 or 5 spritzes. And I don't know if you can see the pearl there yet, but you will when it dries.
Oh, you can see.
And then I just give a little more spritz to it. You want, for this technique, let's see if I can hold it up here. You want some of that puddling. Can you see there's like a little puddling? You want it to be pretty wet, because what that will do is really blend those colors together and give you kind of a watercolor looking background. By the way, you could definitely do this with watercolor too, but I really love how Gina's ink collection really plays well with each other, the different colors. So now what I would do is set this aside and let it dry. But because we don't have all day, because we have some of these techniques to try when this is over, I'm just going to clean up, and I have one here that I did earlier. So that one I just let dry. Okay. So that is the same exact thing that you saw before. And you can see some of the color kind of went underneath the embossing powder. That's okay. Here's another one I did. And I think it's beautiful as is, but I want to show you, I can do both of these. I want to show you something that you can do to step it. Hang on. I am going to ask you to get out a tool in that, if you're like me, you had a hard time finding because you never use it, and that is an iron. I couldn't find it this morning, Gina. I
well,
running around. It doesn't get use in my house. Let's just say that.
I get
and we're going to do an iron off technique. Again, you could leave this as is, right? But I am going to iron off, and it'll give me another background. So I just have some cloths on my desk here and a piece of scrap paper. I then have a piece of Gina's Pure Luxury. Is that what it's called? Pure Luxury white cardstock. So this is not watercolor paper. This is just regular white cardstock. I'm going to place my background onto the scrap paper. So this is face up. You got that clear heat embossing there. Then I'm going to take my plain white cardstock and lay it on top. And then, because I don't want to damage my iron, because I want to pretend I actually use it on clothes, I don't. But I'm going to put another piece of typing paper, or this is printer paper on top, something thin. And then we're going to apply some heat. I have my iron set to the hottest setting, I think. I don't know.
I think.
I don't know how to change it.
Yep, I love it. I think.
I think. And then I have the steam thingy turned off. Yeah, I don't iron. When I go shopping for clothing, if it says something about ironing, I'm out. I won't do it. So I just apply some heat to the back of that, and then we can peel these apart. And what happens is the clear embossing lifts off this and melts onto this.
Ooh.
Okay. So you get this, it gives you like, what do you call that?
It's very distressed and vintage. Yeah, very batik looking. Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted this to stay more crisp, you could use less water and it would stay more crisp. But now you've got this over here, and now you could leave it as is. It's a soft background. Here's one I did earlier, and I just trimmed it down, and it's just a nice soft background. But remember, by using the iron, we removed the embossing powder from this background and it transferred to this. So now this has embossing powder, even though it's a smooth look. It almost has like the embossing powder is kind of pressed into it. You could leave this as is, or you can come in with another color and it will resist that ink you put on top.
Oh, I love it. That's
so
beautiful.
You get like this kind of, is it called batik? Kind of look with this.
Yeah.
So you end up with the two backgrounds from one technique. And I can keep going and blending over this whole thing, or you could leave it that plain. So there's different options that you can get. This is one I did earlier off screen. I did more of kind of a blend from purples to the coral reef. This one I did a kind of a mix. So for this one, I did more water and it kind of got that more kind of watercolory feel to it. This one I did less water so it stays more crisp. It's totally your choice. And then you can leave the background like this. This was the extra cardstock that we ironed the embossing powder off onto, or you can use it for resist and add colors on top. And I'm a big fan for 2 for 1 because I like to make as many cards as possible so I can give as many cards as possible. But look how fun that is.
That is really fun. And it's really, I mean, it's 3 techniques in one. 3 completely different looks. It's gorgeous. It's really
and the
gorgeous.
nice thing is, if you have an iron in your house that you never use, now you have a reason to use it.
Exactly. Oh, yay. It makes use of that iron. I love it.
Yes. Now I got to put it away in the laundry room and not know where I put it.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Oh, well, I just want to give a quick shout out. I just want to give a quick shout out to Nancy and to Lisa for the super chats. Oh. So kind. Thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate it.
We're going to have to get some donuts with our coffee.
Yeah, we can get donuts now with our coffee. Thank you guys so much. That's so sweet.
Thank you.
Jennifer, what do you call that technique? Do you have a name for that?
Usually it's iron off, some sort of iron off. But keep in mind, you could have skipped adding the water to that inked background and ironed off without the water, and you could have a nice crisp blend behind that. It's totally up to you how you do that technique. But anytime you have an clear embossed background, you can do the iron off technique. It's really fun.
I love that.
I haven't done it a whole lot in a while because, this thing's required, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm going to set it aside so I don't burn myself.
Okay. Well, I really love that. So I'm going to try to show a real fast one here, although you might need a nap. After all of that, you might need a nap.
My next ones are fast.
Are they fast?
My most involved.
Well, I'm going to show a quick one that for probably most of the people watching, you might remember this technique from the old days of stamping. However, if you're a new crafter, this one will be very fun, I think. So what I want to do is I think I'm going to use the Misty for this. Okay, we'll see how this goes here. I'm going to use the Misty. And I'm going to use a stamp. This is a stamp set called Flowing Florals. Now this technique, it's the kissing technique. And, I remember like way back when I first started making videos, it was like, 16, 17 years ago. And I remember I was doing techniques like kissing, and I was doing a technique called smack and acetate. Have you ever done that, Jennifer? Smack and acetate?
No, I don't. Okay. Nothing called that. Okay.
So, and I was posting these videos and I was thinking to myself, am I going to get banned immediately from YouTube for, posting a video on the kissing technique and smack and acetate? Luckily I didn't. But
I think it's the smack and acetate that gets you.
I will show that technique in a video coming up very soon. But what you want to do is you want to use a chunky stamp is my point with this one. So I'm using this stamp set it's called Flowing Florals, and I'm using this chunky flower for this technique. Okay. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ink up this stamp with a little bit of sea glass ink. Now, I'm going to do it 2 ways, okay? I'm going to do it this way first. Actually, I'm going to do it a different way first. I'm going to get some tranquil teal. Let's get some tranquil teal. Sorry, these are all back here and I wasn't prepared because I'm never prepared. And I'm going to ink this up with some Tranquil Teal. Okay, put my glasses back on. And this is my original Tranquil Teal ink pad that the manufacturer sent me, and I still haven't re-inked it, and that's how long these last without re-inking. Isn't that amazing? I do have fuzz. Go ahead.
That's one of the things I like about your ink pads, because they're the firm ink pad.
Yeah.
I don't have to re-ink them. In fact, my Sea Glass, which I use a lot, and I use to mass produce a bunch of cards, like I did some batch stuff with backgrounds with it, I needed a re-inker. I didn't even have it because I never use them.
Wow.
They just hold ink well.
That's great. That's great to hear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this background stamp here. This is the, it's called Close Knit. Just trying to remember all the names of the stamp sets is not always easy for this old bird. Okay, so I've got this stamp set here, and it is ready to go, and I've inked this up. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just press this ink, this background stamp onto this stamp like that, and then I'm going to pull that off. Now I'm going to stamp that, and you'll be able to see that design in there. Let's zoom in a bit here so you can see that closely. So what should we call this? Kiss off? This is the kiss off technique, where you actually kiss your background stamp, a plain background stamp. Kiss off. You do a plain background stamp onto a darker inked stamp. Then you can see that contrast, and it gives you that texture, which is really fun. And it makes it more interesting than just a plain colored stamp. All right, so now we're gonna kiss on this time. I am gonna clean this stamp here. Let's clean that.
We're making friends wherever we go.
I'm telling you, I'm really trying to get banned from YouTube, apparently. I can feel people unsubscribing now. So now I'm going to do Sea Glass this time. I know I'm up close here. Tom, is it blurry? Too close?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
No.
Good. All right, and the reason why I'm doing this, doing Sea Glass here, I wanted it probably had a little Tranquil Teal, so it might be a little darker than usual, but I wanted to make sure, I want to be up close because I want you to see it. It's so fun. Now I'm going to use this same stamp, and I'm going to ink this stamp up with some Tranquil Teal. All right? So we'll get some Tranquil Teal on here. And actually, you know, I think I'm going to go a shade darker. I'm a little worried. I just put that in the wrong spot. I'm a little worried, so I think I'm going to go a shade darker. I'm going to go with Blue Denim. All right.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to just go right on top of that. I don't worry about a darker color going over a lighter color. Okay, so now I'm sure I didn't need that much, but I don't want to miss it. So I'm taking that, and I'm going to lay it right on top of this flower. Okay. And now I'm going to press the flower, the background stamp, onto the flower to transfer that design to the flower. Okay.
This is helpful that the background stamp is clear here too.
Yeah, you could definitely see what you're doing. And now I'm going to stamp that on top of this, and I am kissing on this time. So see that? Isn't that a fun combination? So here we kissed off and we left white behind. Here we kissed on and we added a darker shade. So isn't that fun? That's just two quick kissing techniques.
I don't think I've ever kissed on. I like it.
You just kissed off?
I have to say, you have a lot of background stamps that would be good for what you just did, for that detail stamp.
Yeah.
Because the one you kiss with, you want to have some detail to it. Like the rose lace, your petite flourish, your scripts, your music, All of those are great
tiny
options.
designs. Yeah, they work really nice. Keep in mind when you do the kissing technique, though, if you're using words, they usually print backwards. So, you know, because you're actually transferring a design that you can read the proper way, and then you're flipping it.
Right.
So don't go through all that work and then use a scripty background where you can actually read the words.
Well, like on your flower here that you just used, you could do the script for the kissing, and it would just kind of add the look of texture, but it's not something you read, you know? It would
Right,
work for
exactly.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well, I got to try kissing on sometime.
you'll be kissing and and I'll be spritzing with water.
Yes, there you
Cooling
go.
myself off.
Okay,
All right.
so my next one is a pretty quick one. This one's fast, I promise. This one's fast. So let me switch to overhead here. So I, again, did the stamping ahead of time because you need to heat set it. So I used clear embossing ink and on white cardstock. So this is Gina K's Pure Luxury White. Whatever plain white cardstock you have should work, but I always recommend a high quality one. And Gina's Pure Luxury White is great. So I stamped with Gina K clear embossing ink on here, and I stamped with the rose lace. This time I did not heat emboss it, so you won't be able to see it. I stamped with clear ink on white cardstock. Now, when you first stamp with clear ink on white cardstock, you'll see a little sheen to it, but I heat set it so that it was completely dry, and it will disappear in there. In fact, I almost tested it to make sure I did in fact stamp on this ahead of time. So all I did was stamp with clear embossing ink, Versamark ink, Gina's clear embossing ink, on white cardstock and heat set it. Now what happens is you can apply ink on top of this. I'm going to do medium orchid here. You can apply ink on top of this and it'll give you a subtle resist. Whereas what Gina did with her first technique, she did white embossing powder for the image and put ink over it. It really resisted it. This will be very subtle, give kind of a ghost-like look. So I'm going to come in with medium orchid first. And I'll start applying this. Oh, good. I did stamp it. Sure.
You have to check. Is it the right side?
Making sure.
Jennifer, while you're ink blending there, I want to give a shout out to Denise for the super chat. Thank you so much, Denise. Now, Jennifer, we can get bagels on morning 2.
Sweet. You know what? We're close to having mimosas with our coffee. You know, a girl can drink. Okay, medium carnation. It might make our class a little more lively too.
It might.
All right. Medium carnation is, if you don't have medium the colors I use today are some of my favorites from Gina. But medium carnation is a nice peachy pink that I just love. And I think it looks beautiful with the orchids. And you know I use my orchids in my lilacs quite a bit. But what's happening here is I stamped with a clear embossing ink and heat set it, and it lightly resists the ink you're putting on top. So it's not a bright resist, but a soft one. So you get a really soft looking background with it.
That is really beautiful. That's just, yeah, that is so beautiful. Sometimes backgrounds, especially emboss resist, it can kind of overtake the whole card if you wanted to put something on top of that.
I agree. Another thing you could do is like an ink blended background and stamp with your white pigment ink on top. But there's something really soft about this because this is like light pink with dark pink background. This is light orchid image with a darker orchid background. So you can just get this nice blend, and you could do your rainbow like you did earlier. Or whatever you want. And this is a great soft. Now you could go heavier with inks if you wanted to and get a really, like I'll go heavy right here just so you can kind of see. You can go really heavy with inks and make it stand out more. Totally up to you how you do your blending, but that clear embossing ink will resist it. And if you want it to stand out more, then do clear embossing powder over it. But in this case, and I'm kind of mixing up my brushes here, in this case, we're going to get a really soft look. So it's kind of, I call this, let's make something up here. I don't know. I don't have a name for it.
Let's call it soft resist. Yeah.
There we go. And I really think it works well with your stamps like this rose lace because it still captures the detail. Can you see that detail there?
That is gorgeous. How about pillow resist?
Pillow resist. Now you're going to want to make me want to take a nap.
Now, Jennifer, can you rub over that at all with a paper towel, or should you not do that?
You could, as
Okay.
long as you heat set before I did all this, remember I heat set the Versamark ink, so it's not going to get messed up.
Okay.
When I apply, it won't be wet anymore. So I don't have to worry about messing up the image. But really what's happening here is the Versamark or the clear embossing ink underneath is grabbing a little bit of ink, but not a lot. So you can wipe over it, but it's not going to really change the image a whole lot like it does when you have embossing powder. But you can just keep going and get a blend.
Oh, and I'm seeing good names. Ghost Resist, Soft Reveal.
See?
Very good. I
like it.
That is beautiful, Jennifer. You know,
and
that
I
would
will
even
keep
be
blending on this while you go with your next one.
okay. And that would even be beautiful, like if you had flowers, like just die cut flowers, and you wanted them to have a little bit of texture in there, and you could just cut the petals out with that, and it would just give them a little bit of elegance. I really love that. That is absolutely spectacular. Beautiful. Beautiful,
And
beautiful.
your inks, man, I'm telling you, they're perfect for this.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. And a shout out to to Melissa and Penny. They got us our mimosas, Jennifer. Melissa and Penny got us over the edge.
We'll do that. Mike said great. So we'll do that after we teach, like before we go home. Well, no, that doesn't work. I don't know. Sometime. We'll find time. Yeah,
right. Exactly. All right. So I guess it's my turn again?
It's your turn again. Tag team.
Okay. So I'm going to do a stencil resist using background stamps. And what I love about this technique is your design really comes through on the technique using a stencil, but the rest of the background still has texture because the background stamp is still there. So let me show you what I mean. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use the Petite Flourish background. Let me zoom out a bit. There we go. So I'm going to use the Petite Flourish background, and I am going to use a little bit of embossing magic pad. See, did you notice Jennifer was prepared? And did you notice I'm not? Because I am never prepared. In fact, before we went on, Jennifer goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Here's the difference. You're a pro at this.
No.
And also, my technique, like I tend to take too long. So I didn't want to take too long today.
You're cracking me up, Jennifer. All right, so I did find my embossing and watermark pad.
Good.
Oh, no. That's the one that broke. Wait a minute.
Oh, no.
Get my other one. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay. There were two. And
Good.
Does anybody else like keep broken stuff because you think somehow you're going to fix it or you're going to use it again? I don't know what I'm thinking here. But you can use either the Gina K Designs Embossing and Watermark ink pad, or you can use the Versamark, either one you want. They both work in a very similar way. And I'm a little nervous here because I didn't clean this background stamp last time that I used it, so I'm not 100% sure that it's not crusty from ink, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is the perils of live, right? Okay, so I've got a piece of white cardstock that I already used my my embossing magic pad on, and now I'm going to lay that onto this background stamp. I'm going to use my fingers to lightly rub all over the surface here. And again, this is the way I do it because it just makes it so much easier to make sure you have contact. And I don't know, over the years with arthritis and a bunch of other issues, trying to get a background stamp to stamp by like taking the background stamp and stamping down on the paper just isn't an option for me anymore. So even if you're just adding color, this is a great way to do it. All right, we'll see if anything transferred there on my crusty. It peeled up pretty easy, so I don't know. So once again, I'm going to use, yes.
Robin asked, can you use a brayer on the back to put pressure?
You can, but honestly, Robin, I find that a brayer is as hard for me to press as the Misty or anything else like that. I just find doing it upside down just works so easily for me. So I kind of got into the habit of doing it that way. But yes, people have good success with a brayer. Do you see the super chat that just came through, Jennifer?
I do.
It's from Not So Crafty Mike. Thanks for having my sister on for a play date.
Did you notice he gave us $2?
$2, yeah. I love it, Mike. Thank you very much. I love having your sister on for a play date. Anytime. She's had me on for enough play dates, so... So I'm just going ahead here and embossing. Oh my gosh, Mike, you're killing me. You're killing me. I'm just going ahead and embossing this. Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. I had to turn it in my hands. I normally use a clothespin to hold on to this, but I didn't leave any space at all. So this Petite Flourish is a really nice background stamp for this particular technique. Ouch.
I heard a few people say that's their favorite background of yours.
Oh, yeah? I know,
Yeah.
we did this one in polyglaze, and we've done it in a couple different things because people really like it. We also have it in an embossing folder because people like the design so much. Okay, so now I'm going to just tape this down to my scrap paper here. And then I'm going to use a stencil. So the stencil I'm going to use is this one right here. It's the Bold Bouquet. And this is a good kind of stencil to use for this technique. I don't know why I have two. I'll use the other one though, because that's the one I cleaned. So you can use either side of this depending on what direction you want to go, which is so fun with stencils that you can do that. And I'm going to tape this down using a little bit of pixie tape. Yes, not so crafty Mike is funny. Funny guy. He's funny in real life too. And then I'm going to take a color like let's do tranquil teal and let's do turquoise sea. So we'll do turquoise sea. I know it's a shocker that I picked a turquoise color, but you know. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ink up just the flowers first. Okay.
Ooh, I love this stencil.
This is so fun. And you can see, you're going to be able to see the pattern coming through. And I'll show you close up because, again, this is a very delicate design. Hey, Janice, thank you so much for the super chat.
You all are too kind.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. We don't expect it at all, but YouTube put that on our channels, and it's really very, very kind of you guys. So thank you.
We're just glad you're all here keeping us, as we entertain ourselves.
Yeah, keeping us sane.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so I've got that part of the flower done. Now I'm just going to do up here, this part of the flower, part of the bouquet. All right. And
Can
then
we have a moment of appreciation for your colors of ink that are sea glass, tranquil teal, and turquoise sea?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
TJ, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Thank
Everybody's
you.
so nice. Okay, so I'm using a smaller blending brush just for these. Now, this stencil, you could mask areas off if you want with Post-it notes to make sure that, you don't run into the other parts of the stencil, the parts that I'm going to do in green. But it's really not necessary. I would say just stick with colors that work well with green. Yellows and turquoise and things like that. I'm adding a little bit of tranquil teal in here too. Just a little bit at the bottom of each of these just to darken them up. Gives it a little bit of extra something there because it's not a layering stencil, but when you add a second color. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a little bit of green, and I will use Jelly Bean Green, which is one of my all-time favorites. I knew I was struggling to ink things up. I didn't have my ink stand. Okay, and now I'm going to add that green in here on the leaves. And what's nice, the green works so well with the turquoise that even in areas that have some turquoise shading on them, it's not a big deal. And if you get a little bit of that green on the tips of the flowers, not a big deal.
Well, a lot of the petals have a tip of green, you know?
Yes, they do. That's true. Because they kind of start green, right?
Yep.
And then they
Well, I
open
just
up.
did a puzzle that was like a bunch of flowers, and it was the hardest puzzle I've ever done. So I stared at those puzzle pieces, and I can tell you there's a little green on the tip.
So that was confusing.
So yeah, the things you learn when you stare at something too long.
I love seeing the puzzles that you do. That's so cool. Very cool. Okay. So
This is going to be gorgeous.
I can't wait to peel it off and look at it. All right, I'm just filling in these last couple of leaves over here. And then, of course, you know, it might not be perfect around the perimeter, but you can cut this down then to fit on your card base. So that's why I made everything just a quarter sheet of cardstock. And I like to cut a panel, but not everybody does, so, you know, you can go right from there. I am going to bring this in a little bit more, just a little darker.
Hey, Gina, somebody asked, what is the name of this stencil again?
This one is called Bold Bouquet.
Bold Bouquet.
Yeah, Bold Bouquet. Okay.
You have a lot of great large florals like this that allow you to fill a card very quickly. I love it.
It does make it easy. These are the kind of stencils I like to take like to a retreat because you don't need a lot. You just need a few blending brushes and inks and you can do a lot. So now I'm going to take this paper towel and I'm going to just rub over the surface here just to pull off some of that color that might be resting on the embossing powder. Okay. So now I'm going to pull this off and you can see we've got textured flowers.
Oh, look at that.
We've got the texture in those flowers, but we also have a textured background. So, you know, maybe you would normally want an embossing folder as a background. This kind of, you can't really do that. So this kind of creates that shine and that pretty background, but it also works its way through the flowers. And this Petite Flourish one is a great background stamp for this technique because it's not intrusive at all. This one looks absolutely gorgeous under snowflakes because of the way that it moves. It almost looks like wind and like snow blowing and swirling. So that is a fun technique, and I call that stencil magic, right? Isn't that what I call it? Stencil magic. Yeah.
I like it. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
And you have a lot of those, again, those background stamps that have small prints to it that are great for that technique.
Definitely. Lots of the background stamps work great. Like even if you did the sweater, that close knit pattern, it would just make that all look like fabric, you know?
Yeah.
It would give it a fabric look. Yeah.
And my favorite of your background stamps, I didn't even use it today, is the music one. I love the music one.
Oh, the music one's fun, especially for holiday cards. I really like that for like under the poinsettia, the big poinsettia flower, having that music. Yeah. Let's see. Will one do the kiss technique with the script or wording background stamps? How do you do that? So, Amanda, you know, I suggested maybe if you can read the words, not using it because it will definitely be in reverse. However, if you're using something like our elegant script, it's really hard to read. So it's just going to create that scripty looking texture. So that one would probably be okay to use.
I'll show it because I got it right here.
Okay.
So this is her elegant script. It's not so much about reading it. It's just that fun texture. So I think that would work really well.
Sorry.
Script one.
Hang on one sec.
Music. There you go. And then the music one, that's the one I was talking about, music medley. Love that one.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah. Yep, definitely. All right, Jennifer, was the Bold Bouquet part of a bundle? I don't believe so, Allison. I think that was a standalone stencil for us, the Bold Bouquet. All right. Well, is it your turn, Jennifer?
I think so.
I think so.
I I wanted to show, this is, I finished blending and trimmed down that last one.
Oh,
So
that's
you can
beautiful.
see that little bit of tone on tone blending that we got by stamping with the clear embossing ink first. So I think soft resist, I don't know. But yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
So
That's gorgeous.
This is our last technique, right?
This is the last one. Yeah.
This is it. This is another quick one because I did the stamping ahead of time because I get nervous. Anyway, so this time, just like last time, I did stamping on white cardstock. This is Gina K's luxury white, pure luxury. And last time I stamped with clear embossing ink. This time I stamped with Gina K white pigment ink. And I heat set that. The reason I did it ahead of time was because I stamp with it and heat set it. So you can barely see the image on there. I mean, I can barely see it in real life, so you might not be able to see it on the camera. But if you want to, the reason I heat set this first is because when I blend on top of it, I don't want to smear the ink. So the white pigment ink stays wet a little bit. So I stamped with white ink on white cardstock, and I used the same stamp that Gina did on her, I think that was your first technique.
Yes.
So I heat set that off screen. And what's cool is there really are two ways you can go about adding color to this. So let me show you the first one. And I'm going to reach for the same colors again because these are my favorites. I'm first going to go with a light amount of ink. So I'm kind of dabbing off. I should do it over here. Or you can do it like in your ink lid. You can get a little color there. And I'm going to go very light over that image. Super light-handed. And what happens is that white ink, although it's dry, it captures a bit of that color. Can you see how it gets a little color?
Soft orchid.
Yes, it's like a very light color because I'm putting a light amount of ink. So where there was white pigment ink, it goes like that light orchid color. Very light-handed here. And then you get just a little bit of ink in the background. Let me do a little more so you can see a little more here. Dab some of it off. Come in with the pink here. And go light-handed.
I love how that grabs. Okay, so it doesn't really resist. It just grabs color, but it just makes it lighter.
It's the opposite, actually, because it's not resisting. It's grabbing the color instead. I don't know why. I did it by accident, and I figured that it will give you this very soft look.
That's a happy accident right there.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. So you can go very light over this, and it'll give you this very soft background. So you can see there that soft background.
Yeah.
Or you can also go very heavy, and you'll get the opposite. You'll get the white ink will resist a little bit what you put on top, but not a whole lot. So I prefer, if you want the soft resist, to do Versamark ink and heat set it, or clear embossing ink and heat set it, and then go heavy with ink on top. And then for a lighter look, which is the opposite of resist, because the white pigment ink kind of grabs a hold of the color, just go very, very soft. Let me switch a color here. Let's do lilac. Very soft amount of ink on top. And that white ink, although it's dry, kind of grabs it. You can see it more there.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Will give you like a soft look. And you could do more, but I kind of like that really soft hand to get the soft look. Can you see there?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's stamped, but it doesn't look stamped. It looks airbrushed almost.
It does. And the white, after you put ink on top, the where the white pigment ink is, and like where it's grabbed that color, it almost has a little bit of a sheen to the stamping. I wish you could see it in real life. Now I would
have to try it.
Yeah, you
I know what
try
I'm doing later. I'm trying it later.
So I really think that this, though, however, is best to go light-handed. So if you want it to be darker, just start with a darker color. Like this is Plum Punch. And you can get it to show up a little bit more. But you don't want to go too heavy-handed because it just doesn't do as cool of an effect. But there you can see how you can build up the color some, but go light-handed.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is exactly the opposite of resist.
Yep.
But what's cool about it is you still have that mist of color in the background too. So it's not just like stamping. I mean, you could stamp it in the plum punch, but
Right.
you wouldn't have that light mist of color in the back. It's beautiful.
And I guess you could do like a light blend and then stamp with multiple colors of ink on top, but this is really quite quick to do.
And it looks more airbrushed. I definitely think it looks different. I don't think you could get that same look just by stamping. That's beautiful.
I wish you could see there's like a shine to the stamping too. I don't know. It's cool. Just something
that is
different.
Really cool. Absolutely.
Something else to do with our inks and our background stamps, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking at the couple of different techniques that you've shown here, the last two especially, and I feel like I want to do those, and then I want to cut dies from it. Like I imagine like a big vine die or something like that that has nice big leaves on it, and it would just create that soft texture in it. It's a beautiful way to make your own background paper. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That is good. I do see that sheen.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I do. I do see
to
that
catch
sheen.
it.
Yeah.
But there's a sheen to something about when the dye ink lands on top of that white pigment ink stamped image, it leaves a sheen. I don't know.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
There you go.
Oh, well, this
We
was
can call
so
that
much
the
fun. Oh my gosh.
Accidental technique, because I didn't mean to do it.
Well, that's somebody had posted earlier. That's how Post-it notes were discovered. So
This is true. This is true.
yeah,
That's what
happy
happened.
accidents, right?
Yes. So
As
there we go.
crafters.
6 techniques, right?
6 techniques in just a little over an hour. And, you know, there are so many other background techniques that you can do, including things like Joseph's coat and other things. You could go to Jen's channel, type in background stamps, go to my channel, type in background stamps or background techniques, and you'll find a plethora of other ideas on both of our channels. So, Jennifer, this was so much fun.
I do think that we can do another tag team video in the future on more background stamp techniques.
I think we can, definitely. We should do that.
So,
yeah.
yay.
And so
having me.
next time around, tag your it. It's going to be on your channel, and we have to figure out
It will be on my channel.
Yeah, and we have to figure out exactly what technique we want to explore. It's always so much fun.
Good question. Good question. We'll have to think about that and then come up with our ideas to share.
Over a mimosa or 2 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you
Bad
all
idea.
so much. Jennifer, thank you for being here. This was
Thank you.
really fun. I love doing this with you. And I love to get to see you because I haven't seen you in a while and I miss you.
It's been too long.
It has been.
Too
but
long.
Not much longer now.
I
And
know.
we'll get to see each other
I can't
create. And for those of you, I don't know who's going to create in Ohio, but that's always such a fun event. Tons of make and takes and all kinds of things going on there. And Jennifer and I are going to be there together. So
I'll be stuck to her like glue.
I hope so. I hope so.
So if you find her, you'll find me.
There you go. All right, Jennifer. Well, thank you for being here. Not So Crafty Mike, thank you for all your help, and thanks for the super chat. Jennifer and I will not waste that $2.
We will not.
And thank you all for your super chats today. That was really generous. And thank you especially to everybody who just came to enjoy the techniques. We love you, and we really appreciate you being here and supporting this little idea that Jennifer and I had to do these tag team technique videos. We hope you like them. We certainly love doing them. All right. Well, Jennifer, do you have anything coming up this weekend?
Baseball and Easter.
Baseball and Easter. All right. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
This time of year, there's not much other than baseball. So.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend with Easter in there.
Yeah.
I'm making meatballs for Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah.
someday I'm going to get your meatballs. I've never had them.
Oh,
Someday.
I should bring them to create. We'll find a microwave.
I thought about asking for your recipe, but then I decided I'd rather if you made them because I know that you probably do little things that make them even better.
You know, I do it all by just the way it looks, so it's never the same twice. But I would certainly be willing to share the ingredients list with you.
awesome.
All right.
you.
And Carol, thank you for that super chat. We appreciate that. We saw it go by. Thank you so much. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Well, I'm sure Jennifer will be back with one of her lives very soon, and she's got videos coming up on her channel. Tom and I will be back on Tuesday night with another Stampin' Chat Live. And until then, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.